You won't believe how he confronted them. Joe Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, is well known for its long-form conversations that cover everything from science and comedy to politics and even conspiracy theories. Because the discussions are often unscripted and can last for hours, there are moments when a guest says something so unusual or controversial that it forces the conversation in a surprising direction. That's usually when Rogan jumps in, pushing back with questions, facts, or simple common sense to challenge what's being said. Those exchanges have become some of the most talked about moments from the show, especially when debates grow intense or unexpected claims are made. In today's video, we'll look at several times Rogan stepped in and confronted his guests when the discussion started to spiral out of control. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss future videos. During a notable 2019 episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe Rogan hosted Jack Dorsey, who was the CEO of Twitter at the time, along with policy lead Vijaya Gadde and commentator Tim Pool. The discussion came after criticism of Dorsey's earlier appearance on the show, with outlets such as Forbes suggesting that the first conversation had been overly cautious and lacking clear answers about the platform's policies. This time, Rogan pushed for a more open and direct exchange about content moderation, bias accusations, and how Twitter handled controversial accounts. As the conversation unfolded, Rogan repeatedly pressed Dorsey and Gad for clearer explanations, challenging what he saw as vague responses and encouraging a frank debate about the company's practices. The result was a lengthy and often tense discussion that became one of the more widely talked about episodes of the podcast, highlighting Rogan's tendency to step in and push guests for more straightforward answers when he feels the conversation is going in circles. Joe Rogan has often argued on the Joe Rogan Experience that personal bias can influence decisions when individuals or companies act as content moderators online. Critics of Twitter, especially during the time when Jack Dorsey was CEO and Vijaya Gadde oversaw policy, frequently pointed to political donation data to support claims that the company leaned left politically. For example, reporting from Fox News around the 2022 midterm cycle cited donation records suggesting that Twitter employees had made far more contributions through the Democratic fundraising platform ActBlue than through the Republican platform WinRed, with many donations going to Democratic candidates and committees. Critics used those numbers to argue that the political preferences of employees might influence how moderation policies were interpreted or enforced. However, supporters of the company's policies often counter that individual political donations don't necessarily determine how corporate rules are applied, and that large tech companies employ formal review processes intended to separate personal views from platform governance. The broader debate over bias, transparency, and moderation policies on social media platforms has continued well beyond that period and remains a major topic in discussions about technology and free speech. Exactly. Under the previous Twitter administration, critics argued that enforcement of rules often appeared inconsistent and ideologically skewed. High-profile accounts would sometimes face suspensions or content removal for relatively minor infractions, especially if their views didn't align with progressive positions, while other users committed more blatant violations without consequences. Observers noted that this selective enforcement suggested a bias in favor of certain political philosophies over others, raising concerns about fairness and freedom of expression on the platform. During this period, commentators like Bryan Callen, Joe Rogan's longtime friend, would weigh in, sometimes attempting to assert a tougher, no-nonsense perspective on accountability and platform oversight, emphasizing that the enforcement needed to be consistent rather than ideologically motivated. This situation highlighted broader debates over social media governance, the limits of free speech online, and the responsibilities of tech companies as arbiters of public discourse. Exactly. Watching Joe Rogan and Shaw react to Kalen's over-the-top tough guy antics is pure comedy gold. Their mix of incredulity, sharp wit, and playful mocking always cracks people up. And yes, it didn't stop there. These hilarious exchanges date back to the Fight Buddy sessions around 2015, which were often co-hosted by Rogan, Bryan Callen, and Brendan Shaw. The dynamic was priceless, tough talk from Kalen, met with clever, grounded comebacks from Joe and the crew, showing that humor and insight could coexist even in the middle of intense martial arts discussions. Absolutely. Joe Rogan has that rare ability to turn any moment, whether a rant at something absurd or a heated debate with a guest, into pure entertainment. Watching him go full bulldozer mode is both intense and hilarious because he blends blunt honesty, sharp logic, and unfiltered reactions all at once. Every outburst feels unpredictable yet compelling, making even serious discussions feel like must-watch TV. Definitely share the video so others can enjoy these takedowns and join the conversation in the comments. His energy always sparks interesting reactions.